This is Hidden Killers Week in Review.
A look back at the most prolific stories of the week.
This is The Big Breakdown, a long look back at some of the biggest stories we're covering for you at the Hidden Killers podcast and True Crime Today.
That is the vehicle, the suspect vehicle in the Devil's Den double homicide. You're watching it exclusively with True Crime Today. We have an interview with the man who shot that video. His camera shot that video outside of his home, just outside of Devil's Den State Park. This was shot minutes after the suspect left the park. Now, there's been a lot of questions as to what type of vehicle this is. And authorities have not put it out there yet. They've not shown a suspect vehicle image. So we are, because it's what we do. So if anyone, car experts, car guys, car gals, whoever knows anything about a car, take a look at this. It's not the clearest shot in the world, but hopefully with this, we can get a little more clarity on the vehicle that this man was driving.
We need the woman from My Cousin Vinny.
Yeah, we do. I mean, I have a feeling we're going to get a little more close on this in terms of what's going on. Also today, or also recently, the authorities have released an image of the suspect, well, at least the back of the suspect. That's who they believe it is. Backpack and all, wearing all black as described. The baseball cap, which doesn't appear to be that dark. It appears to be a dark tan color, if you will, but I can totally see why that couple had said that backpack was very out of place for being in the woods. That day, of course, also released earlier the image of the suspect. This is based on our exclusive reporting here at True Crime Today as well. This is the police sketch that was done after we had a chance to interview the folks who came face to face first here with the killer at Devil's Den State Park. With that, I want to go to an interview, a conversation I just had with the man who got the vehicle video that you are now seeing of what we believed to be the Devil's Den suspect vehicle speeding away from that park just minutes after the murder took place just the other day. Let's go now to that conversation. And he's a car guy. He gets into good detail on what he believes that vehicle is as best as he can. Let's take a look at that. Let's just start here. You believe you witnessed the vehicle speeding past your property on Saturday, the day of this incident. Can you take me back to exactly what happened here in the afternoon? About what time did you see this, and what did you witness?
Yes, Tony. So this was about 12:30. I was walking around my property. Our house is a little bit further down the hill. We walk up to the property all the time, up to the mailbox. It was about 1 o'clock that we're kind of lingering around the road, maybe within 20, 30 yards of the road. And, cars passing by all the time going to Devil's Den. There's nothing weird about that. Mm-hmm. So about 1:30, which the video is going to show you that it was at 1:44. Mm-hmm. That is incorrect because the video was not connected to the internet. It's just straight DVR recording, so it doesn't have that astronomical time clock to know exactly what time it is. It's just been rolling through. So this happened right at 1:30. I had my back towards the road, heading downhill towards our home, and I heard a car coming through, and it sounded like it was going faster than normal. Mm-hmm. You have your bikers, you have your sports cars, and I always like to just take a look because if they cause a wreck, then yes, I could be a witness. So
sure.
I look over my shoulder just as this car is passing, and it's a black 4-door sedan, quad tips, which would be dual exhaust, 2 tips on both sides of the car, more towards the outside edge of the car than the center. Mm-hmm. And the exhaust wasn't loud until after it passed my house. He was probably off the accelerator by the time he had passed my house. And I can't confirm whether or not it was a stick shift because he was still stuck in gear as he passed my house. He didn't shift up or down. It sounded like he was in low 4, but I'm starting to think that maybe he was in high 3. as he was passing my house, and he turned the corner. I could hear him turning the corner about half a mile away. The best description I can give is that as it passed, that split-second turn over my shoulder to see the back end of this car, it was a sleek design, angled rear window towards the back of the trunk. Not as much trunk space as like you would say have like in a Chevy Cavalier or a Toyota Corolla. This was like sport, like a sport car luxury model. And initially when I saw it, I thought, foreign made. For me to look at the car, I was looking at the back end. I saw black lettering, black emblem. The emblem I wanted to say right off the bat was a Toyota Camry XSE. Having looked at the video and reviewed it, I kind of retracted and tried to like really visualize what it was. And I believed, for me, I believe that it's a foreign vehicle, quad tips, active exhaust, and possibly German, like an Audi or an Audi or a BMW, something similar to that. But I also think that it could have been a Mercedes or an Acura TLX Type X, because the active exhaust really what throws me off on the back end. You're not going to be able to hear this car idling next to you at a red light. It's going to be active whenever the driver actually manually shifts to a sport driving mode or, really accelerates. That's when you're going to hear this car. And the paint on it, I want to say was semi-gloss or matte. It wasn't a full gloss car, but it was all black. That was one thing that was noticeable. Couldn't see through the car, tinted, 4-door, I believe I said that, in black rims. The quad exhaust on the back, I don't believe were chrome. I think that they were gunmetal or gunsmoke. And it must have been going 60, 70 miles an hour past my house. And it's about all I can recollect.
Yeah. And you're just outside of Devil's Den. And so the timing does match up to where this and the time that he would have left. Other reports have had very similar descriptions of the sound of the car, of the look of the car. So I believe this is probably the car. Authorities have not confirmed it, obviously, as of yet. But, basically process of deduction and common sense, I think you got the vehicle there. When you said you looked at the back of the car and you said you saw black lettering, were you able to see that the license plate was taped over or blacked out? That seems to be the other key piece that people have been talking about and authorities have said with the suspect vehicle.
That's the other thing. Looking upon the back of this vehicle, I don't recollect ever seeing an actual rectangular shape, almost as if I think that he had it completely taped over.
Yeah, that's been the
Yeah, so I believe that he had the license plate completely taped over. As I jog through my memory, looking at the back of this vehicle and see the quad exhaust, and it had a small spoiler. It's not like you'd see on the back of a Mustang with that whale tail. This is like a spoiler that just a small little swoop right off the back end of the car. And like I said, with the sleekness of the design going down the back window, it almost kind of meets midway where that hatch would be on the back end of the trunk. So this thing's built a little bit more for speed rather than cargo and just cruising down the road.
Yeah.
Definitely sport model vehicle, but yes, it was definitely taped over. Didn't see any license plate. He left no room for even to see the color of the license plate. So I don't even know if it's Arkansas or out of state.
There's been a lot of talk. What direction was he heading based on what you've seen on your video and what you witnessed? Where is this vehicle going?
He was heading north on 170. Okay. About 2 miles north of the Yellow Rock exit or the Yellow Rock Trail. At 1:30, he was about 2 miles north of that, heading north on 170.
Well, the vehicle video, hopefully, with us now throwing it out there, experts, car guys, car gals, whoever can take a look at this, and maybe we can get this narrowed down to exactly what type of vehicle it is we're looking for now that we actually have some eyes on it. Thank you so much for reaching out and sharing that with us. Hopefully this can speed this up in identifying the perpetrator in this and getting justice for those two little girls who now unfortunately have lost their parents.
Yes, it's very, very tragic. And I'd like to add a few more things to that, too.
Sure.
I'm dialing back the footage to the day before and possibly that early morning to see if I can see him coming into Devil's Den.
Okay.
Of course, I'll keep you updated on that, see if I can catch a taillight.
Yeah.
But yeah, and as far as the description of the vehicle, I noticed that it's plastered all over the internet that this is possibly a Mazda. I'm 90% sure that this is not a Mazda, but since I have not been able to confirm what kind of vehicle this is, I wouldn't rule it out. But
sure.
I don't think it was a Mazda. I believe it was a foreign-made, like German vehicle. Of course, the head of the vehicle was not rounded like a Mazda would be. Hard lines going down the side.
And you're not the first to say that. I've heard the same thing from other people who were in the park who witnessed this vehicle leaving erratically as well. So I think we may have some of the most solid images here now of it, the only images we have of it actually, that we can get out here into the public to take a look at.
Yeah, and if there's one thing I can leave the public with on this note is that, I think that bringing this guy into justice is really just going to be a conglomeration of all of the community bringing it forth, because bringing that evidence to the headquarters, I realize that that's what they're really heavily focused on, is trying to get as much of this out to the public as they can, or we can anyways, because the car isn't going to just pop up out of nowhere. No. Somebody's going to identify this. And a key takeaway that I want for people to think about is that if you see a black vehicle, four-door sedan with quad tips, and you hear it, it should be snapping your neck and looking over at it, because it could possibly be it. It should raise your awareness.
Or if you've seen it prior, if you have somebody in the neighborhood who has a vehicle like that, or somebody or somebody that you've seen around town, all those things prior to the actual incident itself, because I can guarantee right now it's probably not on the road. But if people have remembered seeing this around town or in the general area, it would probably stand out a bit. So, yeah. Be aware.
And another thing I've been doing is, sorry to interrupt you there, Tony, but another thing I've been doing is, I don't know, call me paranoid. Every time I see a vehicle that fits this description, I've actually walked up to it and touched the license plate to see if it has any stick residue.
Interesting.
So
be careful doing that. You might touch the wrong person's plate.
Right.
But no doubt, hopefully this will put the wheels in motion a little bit more, pardon the pun, to getting us closer to finding this suspect. Thank you again so much for talking to us and providing us that video.
Yes, I appreciate you, Jimmy.
This is Hidden Killers with Tony Brueski. Here now, Tony Brueski.
We're about to have a conversation with a woman who was cutting the hair of Andrew McGann right before police came in and made the arrest of the alleged man who committed that double homicide at Devil's Den State Park. It's an in-depth conversation. It's not what you're going to see on cable television where it's just a couple minutes. We're going to talk for about 20 minutes about her experience in depth and what it was like just the other day when it all went down. It was just another day at work for Adriana, a typical afternoon in her Springdale salon, taking walk-ins, cutting hair, going about her business. Little did she know the next customer to step in her chair would be Andrew McGann, man accused of the brutal double homicide at Devil's Den State Park. And keep in mind, at this time, no one knew the name Andrew McGann. We had a mugshot. We had a picture of him, and that's all we had at that moment in time. That mugshot, or not mugshot, that police sketch, I should say, that was drawn up came exclusively from witnesses that we talked to here first on the Hidden Killers podcast and True Crime Today that we then sent over to police. They were trying to get in touch with them for quite a while, but they did not have a working tip line for 3 days. So we talked to them first. With hair long, tangled, and noticeably unkept, he quietly requested a fade, a cut that would soon become infamous. But within moments, detectives stormed the salon. Not in the way you would think, though. It wasn't a battering ram, let's run in. It's more so, is that your car, sir? We'll let her explain all of it. It disrupted the everyday routine and transformed Adriana's workspace into a crime scene. Adriana now finds herself grappling with the trauma of coming face to face with the chillingly soulless eyes of an accused killer. Let's delve into Adriana's first-hand account, raw, emotional, and haunting, as she recalls the chilling moments leading up to McGann's arrest from her own chair. Adriana, you were there, and everyone is coming to you going, what was it like? What happened when this killer allegedly came in to get his haircut? I want to hear your raw experience from as he walked into your salon to when he got arrested. I mean, how did this all begin? Did he have an appointment, or was he a walk-in?
No, we work only by walk-in.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, the day started, just like a regular normal day. I went to the back to heat up some food for my lunch, and saw a black car pull up, just like, any other cars that can pull up clients. Sure. So I went back upstairs. My aunt told him to sign his name. I guess he just looked at her, and she kind of got freaked out. She did tell me she kind of got, scared with the way that he kind of like had a straight face just looking at her. Mm-hmm. So she just said, hey, can you attend them? Since I speak English, it'd be easier for me and the client.
Sure.
So I told him, hey, I'll get you right over here. I'll get you in my chair. Mm-hmm. Like when I saw him, just the way that I could see his eyes through the hair, that really did kind of give me an eerie feeling. Just the way that his face was, it looked pretty scary. But I had him walk to my chair. I sat him down. I told him, how would you like your haircut? And he just said he wanted a high fade. He said he wants nothing off the top. He just kept looking down. His hair was long. So I explained to him, okay, if you don't want nothing cut from the top, this is what a high fade would look like. And I showed him a reference picture photos that we have. And he didn't really want the high fade. So I explained with other pictures, this is a mid fade and a low fade. And we ultimately we went with a mid fade. And as I sat him down, I put the cape over him, started, combing his hair. I noticed his hair was pretty tangled. I noticed he had very dry scalp. And I detangled his hair, and then I started cutting his hair. And with all of the post about, be on the lookout of this guy, I'm like, what if, I just saw the back of his head and I'm like, what if, because I had, I looked at him while I was turning the chair, to look at him. And he just had, his head down. I didn't have any conversation with him because I'm like, he looks pretty, pretty timid, pretty shy. It's just that one feeling, and with, after that, after, I was about to give him, the fade, cause I just, I marked his haircut and everything. That's when, a man came. It was a detective, asked about the black car, and, it was his car. He was the only one sitting in my chair. He matched the description. And, that's, when I knew that something serious, was happening. And after all that, after, I found out that it was related to the Devil's Den incident, everything in me changed. It did take a toll on me. A lot of people, I read comments where a lot of people are like, this shouldn't have affected her. It's not that big. But, until they're in my shoes, knowing, that I touched this monster, and it can affect a person.
Without a doubt. I mean, ignore the trolls. There's tons of them out there. And you're unfortunately getting a taste of them. We see them all the time, but ignore them. They're not worth it. Let me ask you, okay, so when the detective stepped in, were you actively cutting his hair at that moment in time, or did you step away for a moment and he informed you of this? How did that all take place?
So I was, cutting his hair, and, a man came in, and I thought he was related to him. I thought he was just someone waiting for him in the car or something. Sure. He just came in. Or a client. I thought he could also be a client until, I was cutting his hair, and then he's like, is the black Kia that's outside, is this, yours? And, that's when, he was pretty quiet, and I guess he asked him again, and, I assume this is your car, because he was the only one in my chair. He's the only one that was, matched in the description and everything. And I guess he said, yes. And then he's like, I'm going to need you to step out of the chair. And I was surprised, that's when he stood up. They took him to the other side. They told him, lift up your shirt. I guess they were looking for something. And then they handcuffed him there. They took him outside. I guess they asked him more questions, and did all the investigation inside.
Let me ask you this, because they were asking about the car. I'm assuming that's what brought the attention. And as we heard, it was within the hour that they had, I guess, some sort of ID on this suspect that they then went out and took action and found him. The car itself was what seemingly, I guess, would you say that that's probably what brought them to the salon, is seeing that car there? Do you have any idea how they figured out that he was there? Was it a tip from someone saying, hey, here's this vehicle that I've been hearing described, it's sitting at this salon?
No. We were just, sitting down waiting for a client. I believe that they were tracking him down. I'm not sure how far out. I just know that he stopped at the salon and just, wanting to get a haircut. And that's where they're like, okay, we got him here. It's a closed building. And that's where they just ultimately got him and arrested him.
You said he had tangled hair. And I mean, I'm pretty much, obviously I don't have any, so I don't have to deal with that. Except when my chest hair gets tangled. That's really weird. But I deal with it with my dog, and that's about it. Was he well groomed? Was he well taken care of? Or would you say this is someone who maybe didn't have the best self-care routine going on?
Definitely someone that did not have the best self-care. I did notice that I feel like he just changed into those clothes. They looked fresh. It was a bright blue shirt and like khakis or like a tan color pants. But with his hair, it just felt, the texture of it felt like dry. It was dry. I could see, dry scalp and flakes, when you're combing out the hair and the scalp is too dry, you get some flakes. But yeah, it just looked like, it looked like he was very dehydrated and that he possibly didn't eat or anything, because he did look, a little thin and slim.
I mean, was there any sort of indication? Was this the big question is, was this a haircut for the next school year, which he would have been starting on Monday, or was this to change his look? I mean, would this have changed his look up very much had the cut actually finished and your the hair smock not end up in the mugshot?
Yeah. Well, I believe I mean, the school year's literally right around the corner.
Yeah.
I feel like he was either getting ready, but also knowing that there's a mugshot or a picture with the back of his head. I feel like he just wanted possibly to just get it cut.
Yeah.
Just possibly just get it cut and maybe try to look different. I'm not too sure, but I do know that I have friends in other salons that told me that they possibly that he's the one who possibly went up to them, and because they are appointments, he didn't want to wait. And so my question is, did he pick the salon because we're only walk-ins, or did he pick the salon knowing that it's that we wouldn't know, if he walked in or anything. So it's pretty weird not knowing.
So you're hearing from other colleagues of yours that he may have tried to go to other locations, other salons, and they said, we don't do walk-ins right now, or we're booked up, and he ended up finding you because you did do walk-ins.
Right. Yeah, we do walk-ins. I know a lot of salons here do appointments, but we do walk-ins. And I'm not sure, if it was him going to the other salons and leaving quickly. But yes, he did stop at our salon.
Let me ask you this, because there are a lot of reports out that he had injured himself in the course of this horrible thing that he did on the trail. And I don't know if you noticed or not, but I'm asking you, did you notice any sort of hand injuries or anything like that would raise a red flag of like, hey, what happened here? Did you hurt yourself barbecuing this weekend or something? Or did you notice anything at all?
The only thing I noticed was his skin. I told the detective there, the only thing I noticed was I felt like his skin had like a condition or something, because it looked kind of two-toned, and I wasn't sure if he was scarring or anything, but. I did not really see any indication, the only thing was just, so he had his hair pretty long, and I know that in the mugshot, I could see that he had injuries. So I'm guessing that's why he didn't want me to touch anything from the top. That way I wouldn't notice that he had that injury. And looking back at the videos, I did notice as he was walking, he had his hands in his pockets. So I guess I didn't really pay too much attention.
Sure. I mean, of course, you're not thinking as someone walks in for a walk-in that this is the guy who just committed a double homicide at Devil's Den Steak Park. I mean, you see a lot of people for walk-ins, I'm sure, on a regular basis. I mean, how often did the vibe that you got from this guy? I mean, just I'm asking your personal opinion and just kind of your own context for what you felt. How often do you feel like this about someone who walks in to get their hair cut, where you feel that there's something kind of dark about this person?
I mean, I don't judge like any clients or anything. When I saw him, I got a little bit of the chills just because the way that his eyes looked behind, I could see his eyes from, the strands of hair that he has. That gave me the chills. But I feel like it wasn't until I was combing out his hair that I started to think and question, like, what if this is the man or anything? Because I'm like, his hair looks pretty definitely not taken care of, and he really did look dehydrated and had a lot of flakes. So I just started questioning in my mind, what if this is the guy? And so it turned out it was. And as soon as they got him from my chair, I decided not to sweep up the hair that was on the floor, when I was cutting his hair, just in case they needed it. So they took him out, and I just, waited. I sat there, and a detective came in, and I'm like, hey, I have his hair here. I haven't swept it up in case you guys need it for anything. And, they were kind of surprised, and they're like, yes, we will be needing to. And so they collected that.
I bet you didn't expect to find evidence markers on your floor.
Right. No. As soon as I saw those evidence markers, I'm like, okay, this is the guy that they're definitely looking for.
Yeah, things are getting really real. Those eyes are a scary thing, and we see it so often in so many cases, like the Brian Koberger case in Idaho. It's that dead eyes. We see it so often in these sort of people. It's rare, I guess, to come face to face with it. But I mean, can you give me? I mean, any more? I mean, I know you've been, I know you said there was a night you couldn't sleep, and I hope that's getting better for you. Because my God, this is quite something. This is a trauma. I mean, it is without a doubt. So don't let anybody tell you that it's not. But I mean, can you describe for me those eyes that you saw? I mean, we've seen them in the pictures, but it's one thing to see them close up, that emptiness, that deadness. And I'm not trying to steal words out of your mouth, but how would you describe it for someone who was that close to that?
I mean, the word that literally just came out of me was soulless. I saw his eyes, and it looked like he wanted to appear like he could be a normal person just walking in, but seeing those eyes, you can definitely feel that something wasn't right just because of how wide his eyes looked, especially with the dark under eye and the sunken eyes that he had. Someone could literally think that there was something more to him.
I mean, that in itself is interesting. The fact that it appeared he didn't have a very well self-care routine going on. I mean, there's a lot of people who don't, but it's indicative of other things that might be going on with this human being in terms of mental health state and whatnot, especially someone who's not taking basic care of themselves, and they're set to go be a teacher in just a few days. There's a lot of questions, obviously, that we still have about this individual and his background and what made him who he is. But I think you've revealed everything that you can. I mean, is there anything else you want to share about him that you haven't said already?
I mean, it all happened pretty quickly. It was just a regular day at work, and just the thought that he, with the clothes that he was wearing, that maybe he possibly just wanted to blend in with, where he was going. And also, just, the way that he just presented, his face. But I also do want to say, off topic from him, a lot of people say, they say, I read comments saying you're a hero, and I am not a hero. I know the hero, and I believe the heroes are the little girls, the parents that try to protect them. And I'm thankful that the police were able to get him when they did.
Want more on this case and others? Then press subscribe now and don't miss a moment of true crime coverage from Tony Brueski and the Hidden Killers podcast.